What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes are back with another superstar from the sport of mixed martial arts. Today we get to talk to Max Rohskopf, who's going to be fighting Chris Gonzalez at the upcoming Bellator card in Los Angeles on February 4th. And check it out, CBS got you covered for this one. Should be a good one. Fedor and Bader at the top of the bill. What's going on, Max? How are you?
Pretty good. Can't complain. A lot better now that you guys are here.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we haven't seen you in about a month or so, but it looks like you got rid of the mop that you had going on, the locks. I'm jealous. I can't grow hair anymore, so I'm happy for you guys when you can go, Ben Askren style. You were getting to that level, but it's off.
Yeah, just had to go.
Ghost said maybe you're feeling more aerodynamic. What was the reason? You just felt like it?
Do you want me to repeat what I said before?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Honestly, there's a lot of people that will give themselves a look at the start of the year, or maybe you were in camp and you just wanted to take it to another level. But I guess for you, it was just I just want to get rid of it. That's fine. All right. Now, Max, you're going to be fighting in the same state that gave you problems last time. And everything from I've read and I've discussed with people around you, that was their bad. Are you sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted so that this doesn't happen to you again? Because it was very unfortunate.
My T's were crossed and my I's were dotted last time. Mine were to do with me, everything to do with them. And I can honestly say there's a lot of, even since I was little, I've been competing for a long time in different sports. I've never once put blame on someone else or something else, and that's like the first time ever in sports where I felt like I was kind of screwed over. Normally, if something bad happens, it's probably had something to do with me or what I did, and that was the first time where I actually felt like it was out of my hands.
It was on fight day. It was hours before the match. Are you free to discuss the details of it?
Yeah, basically, long story short, I had to get my MRI re-upped. I can't remember how long you have to do it, like your brain scan MRI re-upped after a couple of years, and then 2 weeks before the fight, I had to go get another one. My doctor cleared me. He said I was fine. Uh, Immediately after weigh-ins, like an hour after I already weighed in, the commission told me I had to go get another MRI and I had to pay out of pocket for it. And then it was a long ordeal to go get that done. And then the doctor that checked out that MRI in California said I was fine. Someone at the commission, whether I don't know exactly who it was, said that I wasn't fine and that there's something weird on my MRI. And then a little bit after, they said something along the lines of, we're just trying to be careful because of what happened in the NFL the day before, which was Tua getting that concussion.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I almost broke the TV in the hotel room. I was so mad. I've never even had like a headache or a migraine in my life. I've never been knocked unconscious. Never had a concussion. It's like I was pretty upset that they're pulling me because of something that my doctor told me after, that was just like a abnormal blood vessel in my brain that has like nothing to do with like an injury or anything like that. I probably had it since I was born.
Oh wow. Okay. So when you go through this process again, has there been any communication with CSAC about what happened to make sure that it doesn't happen?
Uh, Not on my end. Um, I'm pretty sure my manager's been in contact with them. Last I heard, I was still suspended.
Wait a minute, suspended from competing in that state?
Yeah,
So why are you booked for the state? I mean, I'm not trying to sound
I
like a
think
smart ass.
I'm pretty sure they've taken care of it, or else I would have heard something. But that was like a month ago that I heard that.
Right. All right.
And I was like,
Well,
for
listen,
what? I was pissed then too.
I can imagine, and we definitely want you to fight, but again, we definitely don't want you to go through what you just went through, because I know that was super frustrating. You and I have spoken off camera and talked about, some other plans, and your life's kind of taken some twists and turns along the way, but I know you were stoked to sign with Bellator, and I'm sure it would have been a nice payday that you were robbed of, and we don't want that for you again.
Yeah, I don't want it either. One way or another, I'm gonna get that money I was owed.
Did Bellator step in at all in any way? Was it just, sorry kid, that's it? Were they able to help you out for training camp costs, anything?
Yeah, a little bit of training camp cost, but it was also a little bit more, sorry kid. And
Yeah.
I think I am trying to just keep my head under the radar, and I don't think I've been in a position, and I'm not in a position now to really push the envelope with anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm new. I haven't proven myself at all. I think there wasn't a leg for me to stand on to really push an issue with anything there.
Max, let's talk about the X's and O's of your fight. I remember Chris Gonzalez's last fight. He got choked by the champ. And I wanted to ask you, when you watch tape or when you remember of your previous opponents, when they lose by a certain technique, does it ever jump out to you and go, oh, I got one of those? Or do you start building your game plan based off something else?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. I guess I can see, I got one of those. I got like a bunch of different stuff I do from front headlock, but everyone already knows that. I don't really take into consideration though, like what someone else was able to do, because I'm not them, and I'd never really know until I get in there, or unless I've had experience with them, how my skills are going to match up against theirs.
The next thing I wanted to ask you was about your gym, and particularly who are going to be your coaches for this fight, because the gym's big. There's a lot of fighters that get spread out. So I'm wondering, usually I think Eric's been cornering you, right? At Cage Warriors, will he be in your
Eric
corner?
and Nate both.
Okay.
They both have been really great about. I think both times I fought, they had like other shit going on, and they either one or the other either flew in the same day and made sure they were there. But they always, even with all the crazy stuff going on, we try to plan ahead and make sure they're there for mine.
Mm-hmm. This past weekend, excuse me, was a nice weekend for Extreme Couture. 2 of the 3 guys won. Unfortunately, Puna did not win.
4.
But I wanted to ask you, at the same
3 or
time,
4.
there's also, excuse me, 3 or 4. Okay.
3 or 4.
Who am I missing? Who else won?
Javid.
Okay. And I wanted to ask you, at the same time we had the incident with Francis Ngannou, does that affect the gym at all? Like, is it pretty much, I know you guys are a team, but everyone's also individual come fight night. But does that positivity, carry over when the fighters are winning and the coaches that you're working with, they're in those corners, and then, but maybe something on the negative side happens. Like, what's practice like pretty much like this week after a week as tumultuous as the one that we just went through?
It helps, and it is, you need your team, and it is an individual thing once you step in there, but I almost wish it was more of a team thing. I take a lot of energy and a lot of inspiration and a lot of stuff from a lot of my teammates, and I think the closer that we get as a team, the more we're going to be able to push ourselves, and feelings aren't going to get hurt if I'm fucking yelling at someone saying like you need to pick it up or whatever. But like when you're not a team and you're not close, it's hard to do that type of stuff. And I think a lot of us have been there for long enough, and we respect each other enough to where like if someone's slacking or if someone's not doing what they need to be doing, some of us get vocal at each other, and I think that's good. It's good for a team to be like that. and it's definitely how it is. After a week like this, though, it's positive, but it's also like, all right, this is what we have to keep pushing. We have to keep doing what we need to be doing.
Max, I'm going to ask you sort of a strange question here because I'm going to tell you a story, kind of a childhood story. I remember in school 2 kids that were going to fight at the end of the day. And during the day, one of them got in pretty bad trouble where a teacher yelled at him. I think his parents had to come and all that. And but I remember another kid saying, "Oh my God, this fight at the end of the day, that kid's going to take an extra ass whipping because he's carrying all these emotions from what happened earlier in the day." So I wanted to ask you, like, everything that happened with, the commission and all that, like, is it almost making it even worse for your opponent? Like, are you going to does that all come out as one thing for you?
No, I try to fight pretty emotionless. I think I've even shown that after all my fights that I've won too, is after I win, I kind of just like stand up, walk off. Don't really smile a whole lot, try to stay emotionless, and I think that's how I try to compete as well. I don't see myself ever being much of a emotion fighter or being super emotional after I win. It's always more, cold face, walk off, be fine. I think the only emotion I've ever really shown in the cage after I've won is after the very first one back, where I jerked off to the camera. That was about
it. Yeah, you went all in on that one. So this fight's taking place kind of early. And in Bellator, sometimes things can just, if you get on the right path, things can happen relatively quickly. If we talk again next time, this same time next year, what do you think can transpire throughout this year, and what position do you think you could be in?
I hope by the end of the year that I just fight my contract through and start looking at a new one. That's really, I'm not looking too far ahead. I know I want to try to stay active, but some things are out of my control. I've tried to stay active my entire career, but I only have 8 fights in damn near 5 or 6 years, so it hasn't been going too well for me on that front. So I'm trying, but I would like to stay as active as possible.
That lightweight Grand Prix has been, set up now for 8 fighters to compete. I wanted to ask you, had they gone 16 deep, you think you would have made the cut for 16 deep? And do you ever see yourself as a guy that is just going to kind of stay ready and keep an eye on this thing so that if you happen to be on the same card and something happens, that hand goes up?
Yeah, I see myself as staying ready and, being ready for that. But I don't know. I don't think I would have made it if it was 16 deep. It's hard to. If I did make it, it's just because of reputation. It's not because of what I've done.
Yeah. I'll finish with this. You were talking about the gym earlier and the vibe that the team can have when things are cooking and things are going great. Everyone gets better. And when someone's slacking, a few of the people step up and say stuff. I was telling Dan Ige this the other day. I was really impressed. I've always been impressed with your work ethic, and you're definitely one of the people that I like to watch when I go to the practice because you're really giving it your all, and I can see that you're actually trying to be as good of a professional prize fighter as you can every time you either practice or perform. But I was really impressed with the day that you guys were doing sprints. So many of them were kind of mailing it in a little bit, but you were flying each time. Slow was Dan, and it's kind of been like that way for a long time. There's just certain guys that kind of they put everything they have into every practice. Where do you get that from?
I've been like that since I was little. I think it starts as early as like right when I started wrestling. I think one of the things that my coaches, when I first started wrestling, said is that you work harder than everyone else, you're going to have better results than everyone else. And I kind of took that to to heart. I really do try to do that. I was never really super talented. One of the biggest like irks I have when people tell me how talented I am or how strong I am or how fast I am, it's like I've worked my fucking ass off to be the athlete that I am now. Naturally, just walking before I got to the gym, before I started training, I'm not naturally talented. I'm not specifically just like super good at anything. I've trained my ass off to the point where like I've had people try to keep up with my training schedule where they train with me and it's on Monday and that they make it to Tuesday night and then they can't keep up Wednesday. The amount of work that I've done to get to where I'm at, I'm very, very, very proud of. And I don't think a lot of people, even at Extreme that I train with all the time, they see me at Extreme, but they don't see what I'm doing outside of Extreme or anything like that. I think it comes from, you know, a lot of self-doubt, to be honest. I work that hard because I know I'm not where I want to be yet.
So to be clear, I just irked you when I told you how fast you were. Just checking here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Was it because I acted surprised that you were that fast? I was just looking at it like this dude could be on a football field playing like defensive back. That was my reaction. Like, some of you guys just had some wheels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but why does that irk you?
Because it's not, so you didn't like, I've had like some people at the gym or at other gyms or whatever be like, basically say it's, oh, you're just naturally like that. It's like, I've worked my ass off. I've spent hours in the weight room and on the track being that fast. It's not, I wasn't just born like this. Mm-hmm. Every sport I've ever started, I've sucked at it first. And for a couple years before I was actually even good. So it's like, I've never been someone that's just been naturally talented or naturally fast. If like, you guys play sports growing up, like that. So imagine like the worst kid on whatever sport team you were when you were like 13. And that was me on that team. Like I was the worst kid at everything growing up. And even in the high school. And then I really wasn't even that good at wrestling until I was in college. And even then I wasn't even that great. I was good, but I wasn't like real good. It's just not a natural talent thing. I've busted my ass to get to where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. A few years ago, Junkie Nation, meaning myself and Goes, and some of our listeners and friends, played football against Extreme Couture. Were you at that game? I can't remember.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, don't go to the next one. I wouldn't want to defend you, man. That was, Goes, was Ige on there? Was Ige out there?
Ige was out there, yeah. Puna was out there. Johnny Nunes.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Eric Nixick.
Yeah, Goes, don't invite Max. He's fast, dude. And I don't remember Dan being that fast that day, so maybe he was just holding back or whatever. But
the fastest guy at Extreme Couture is a scrawny white boy.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, listen, man, it's always great to chat with you. We definitely hope we didn't jinx the talk about what happened with CSAC. I just wanted to bring it to light because, yeah, you're right, man. All that work you put in, all those years that you've been in the sport, you're only 7-1. You haven't gotten that many opportunities, and it just seems like sometimes things just don't go your way. But I have a feeling this one's going to go your way. It's on a great card. It's the beginning of 2023, like Goes pointed out. This could be an incredible 3-0, 4-0 run for you, man, in 2023. We're hoping for that for you, and we thank you for the time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Always good talking to you guys.